Hey, good evening, USA, and happy opening day to every single Mets fan out there from USA, International, Canada, Long Island, aka Strong Island, plus the five spots of Brooklyn, the five spots of Brooklyn. Hold on, tri-state area of New Jersey, Connecticut, plus the five spots of Brooklyn, Bronx, Manhattan, Staten Island, and Queens. This is your man and homie G Money Stacks, aka the Gregonator, rhymes with now or later. Your host with the most, misunderstood, lonely nomad, unstoppable, independent podcaster, creator, YouTuber, and Queens, New York native who is also a New York Giants fan and New York Mets fan from the neck of the woods of Laurelton, Queens, New York. You are now rocking with me by listening, tuning in, and streaming and watching the 120th episode of the Sports Edition show, Excellent, Fun, Vibrant Talks podcast, the sports show platform to talk about all things football, including the New York Giants. You got basketball news, including the New York Knicks and a little bit of college basketball of the St. John's Red Storm, which I started covering, and of course the New York Mets are included as well. And And man, what a good day to be a New York Mets fan because earlier I was watching the game on NBC, what I'm saying, on my TV. And I gotta say, man, never in the history that I ever seen an opposing pitcher get pulled out on a first inning in my entire life. This is the first time I actually see. This is the first time I actually seen Paul Skeens get pulled out in the first inning, because the Mets basically crushed the Pirates today, 11-7. I'll go over that in a few minutes. I'm gonna save that. I'm gonna save that shit for last though, man. But it had me laughing so hard, man, because I was like, damn, that the Pirates is goose is cooked though, man. Oh man. Oh shit. This is so funny, man. Oh man, that's crazy funny though, man. Yeah. So we're live and direct from StreamYard alongside with YouTube and the comfort of my room, where I do my podcast recordings for separate podcast. Now, if you missed any episodes whatsoever, please feel free to hit the subscribe button on the sports YouTube channel page of Excellent Fun Vibrant Talks podcast, alongside with leaving a comment on the uh on the sports topics being discussed in each episode. And you don't forget to actually leave a 5-star rating alongside with a positive review on Apple Podcasts as well. And of course, let me know how you how let me know in the comment section, how did Freddie Peralta do today in today's opening day game today. All right. And overall, how did you feel? How did you feel about today's game overall, especially with two back-to-back homers, which I'll discuss that in a few minutes. All right, man. The reason why I'm re-recording this is because of the fact that I had a technical difficulty with my microphone. So the previous episode that I just recorded, I'm going to delete that, and I'm going to replace it with this episode that I'm re-recording. All right. So there you go. After I get off the air, I am going to actually delete this I'm going to delete the previous episode that I just started. So there you go. All right. Just want to get that out the way. and all that great stuff. So, why don't we get started with the quick side bleacher bar? I hope everyone out there was able to. I hope everyone out there was able to go to the ballpark today at Citi Field in Flushing, Queens, New York. Shouts to Wardy from um the Straight Out of Flushing Mets podcast with Dexter Henry. Unfortunately, in case you didn't know, he had an Achilles injury that he has to deal with, so he couldn't make it. And shout out to all the podcasters out there that went to the ballpark, and shout outs to the guys from the Queens Baseball Live podcast, man. I hope they had a blast. I hope they had a blast today, with foods, drinks, and everything else in between. So shouts to you guys over there, though, man. And I'm not sure what happened with Randy, so I'm not even gonna ask that. So there you go, right there. Yeah. Shouts to Top Bunk. Shout out to Pope Odd Villain alongside with Jay Fern, alongside with Swift and Rick. All right. Queens Baseball Live podcast for life, man. I've been a fan of these guys since they came out, though, man. So shouts to them. I hope they keep up with the good work and everything else in between. And I'll do my best to actually chime in on the rundown Mets regular schedule when they have away games and when they have home games. So I got them with that one right there. By the way, folks, if you go to the community tab of the sports YouTube channel page of Excellent Fun Vibrant Talks podcast, you're going to see a post that I previously did. I actually posted the schedule on there as well as the promotional schedule on there as well. So I'm going to actually, I'm gonna double check to see if I posted the promotional schedule. And actually, I did. I'll check. Anyway, man, y'all could take a look at the schedule for the Mets. I got y'all with that at the end of the podcast recording. So yeah, there you go. All right. Now that I got that out the way, yeah, I hope y'all had a blast at the ballpark today and enjoy some of the food, which I will go over in the next episode, the following episode, which will be episode 121. All right, without further ado, let's get into the quick side bleacher bar. Let's start off with some football news of the offseason for the New York Giants and who they signed. All right. While the iHeart Radio Music Awards is on Fox right now, I'm actually watching it on my Android tablet. But at the same time, I will discuss who the Giants signed so far. So starting with with a recent signing by the New York Giants. So let's get to it. Hold on. The tablet is kind of like acting a little funny though. So all right. So according to AM New York, the New York Giants have made their first significant signing of the legal tampering period as they are set to add tight end Isaiah Likely on a 3-year deal per multiple reports. The 25-year-old's deal is worth $40 million with incentives that can max the deal out at $47.5 million. That's $47.5 million. Wow. Hold on. All right. Let's keep going here. Big Blue's offense is in need of a serious injection of new weapons to work with quarterback Jackson Dart alongside star wide receiver Malik Neighbors. With free agency officially which already begun already, the Giants will likely lose last year's leader receiver Wandale Robinson. Likely spent the first 4 seasons of his NFL career with new Giants head coach John Harbaugh and Baltimore Ravens. 1 second. All right. Yeah, he posted 135 catches for 1,568 yards with 15 touchdowns across 63 games. He provides another option at the position next to Theo Johnson, the raw Penn State product who showed signs of improvement in 2025 by posting 45 catches for 528 yards and 5 scores. The ceiling on Likely is high, though his production last year does not suggest it. He missed the first 3 games of 2025 because of a fractured right foot before putting up career lows with 27 catches for 307 yards and a touchdown. He also fumbled at or near the end zone in consecutive divisional games against the Cincinnati Bengals on Thanksgiving and the Pittsburgh Steelers the following week. Baltimore had been engaged in talks with Likely for much of the past year, but the writing on the wall for an exit was when the team extended veteran tight end Mark Andrews with a 3-year extension in December. Rumors initially surfaced that Likely and Harbaugh's relationship had fizzled out, but a reunion in New York directly contradicts such a notion. All right, before I go on to the next players that the Giants signed, I want to get this out the way. I want to get this shit out the way. New York Giants co-owner Steve Tisch, along with his siblings Jonathan and Laurie, is attempting to transfer his ownership stake in the team to his children's trust. According to an NFL memo released on Wednesday, this comes less than 2 months after Tisch appeared in the most recent hatch of the Epstein files that was released by the Justice Department. Prior transfers to these trusts are completed pursuant to 2023 and 2024 Finance Committee approvals. The memo read, according to ESPN, ESPN. The sellers now propose to transfer the entire remaining interest, totaling 23.1% of the club, to the trust. Tisch's name was mentioned 440 times in the documents made public in January. He had significant correspondence with convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein in 2013 in hopes of connecting with multiple women. He even invited Epstein to the owner's box for a game at MetLife Stadium. Okay, this screams a red flag to me. Okay, hold on. Okay, let's continue. So, in quote, we had a brief association where we exchanged emails about adult women, and in addition, we discussed movies, philanthropy, and investments. A statement from Tish read in January. I did not take him up on any of his invitations and never went to his island. As we all know now, he was a terrible person and someone I deeply regret associating with. Tish has not been accused of any crimes, though the prospect of transferring his ownership stake in the Giants creates uncertainty about his role moving forward. Epstein was arrested in 2019 on six. Hold on. Hold on 1 second. Yes, Epstein was arrested in 2019 on federal sex trafficking charges, including accusations of abusing underage girls, and was found dead in his jail cell in August of that year while awaiting trial. Tish's father, Bob, bought a 50% stake in the Giants from Tim Mara in 1991. The Mara family are the original owners of the team, dating back to its inception in 1925. Tish became chairman and executive vice president of the organization in 2005. The Koch family purchased a 10% stake in the team in September. All right, more, more Giants news in terms of the players that they picked up. Let's see. So, so they picked up Greg Newsom the second. All right. So the New York Giants are signing former Jacksonville Jaguars cornerback Greg Newsom the second to a 1 year deal worth $10 million per multiple reports on Tuesday. John Harbaugh and company were in desperate need of picking up help at the position. They lost out on one of their top corners in recent years. Cordell Flott to the Tennessee Titans. Damn, that shit sucks. While they were negotiating with him, they also missed out on the top corner in the market, Jamel Dean, who joined the Pittsburgh Steelers. Newsom has plenty to prove in the Meadowlands. The 25-year-old was a first round pick of the Cleveland Browns in 2021 and looked like he was developing into one of the game's better cornerbacks across his first 3 seasons, which featured 128 total tackles, 2 interceptions, and 29 pass breakups. But he has regressed mightily over the last 2 seasons, which ultimately led to the Browns trading him to the Jaguars 5 weeks into the 2025 campaign. He broke up 6 passes and had 1 pick in 12 games with the AFC South Side. Man, I've been trying to figure out what it means for players in any sport to go on a regression phase. I need to ask somebody because I've been trying to ask certain people, but I wasn't able to get a clear clarification on what that's basically about. So I would do that when I get a chance to watch anybody's sports podcast. All right, so he is capable of playing both on the outside and in the slot, which adds some versatility to New York's secondary. More importantly, it provides Big Blue with a bona fide number two corner to start opposite um, Adebo, Paulson Adebo, rather than the disappearing Deontay Banks. The Giants has the Giants have been busy over the first few days of the NFL's legal tampering period, while they have lost Flott and wide receiver Wandale Robinson to the Titans. They picked up veteran middle linebacker Tremaine Edmonds, formerly of the Chicago Bears, and former Ravens free safety Ardarius Washington. The Giants also picked up another player. Yes, so the New York Giants head coach John Harbaugh did not need to overhaul the roster. The franchise's main objectives entering the offseason were to position quarterback Jackson Dart for a second year boom and fix the culture. The early results are auspicious. Auspicious. Okay. All right, key takeaways. Did the Giants truly improve with free agency moves? The New York Giants' free agency activity earned them a, a questionable rank in PWF's war metric. Head coach John Harbaugh has focused on culture and balance, bringing in familiar players and addressing overlooked needs across the roster. Let's see. Let's see. With keyholes still remaining, Harbaugh's leadership is viewed as the biggest upgrade, potentially making the Giants better than their rankings suggest. Mason Cameron used PWF's win above replacement metric to measure how much a team has improved by accounting for all offseason moves a squad has made, including re-signing players. PWF can determine the value an organization has added to its roster. New York's number is 0.69, putting it square in the middle of the NFL rankings. Positional value factors into the calculations, so teams that acquired a starting quarterback got a sizable boost in WAR. Without signaling a signal caller, high-end wide receiver, or premier cornerback, the Giants still rank 16th in WAR, added through the first wave of free agency. They are addressing needs that are too often overlooked. Harbaugh, hold on one second. Yes, Harbaugh reunited with a few of his former Baltimore Ravens players, including promising tight end Isaiah Likely, all pro punter Jordan Stout, and all pro fullback Patrick Ricard. The front office also signed ball hawking linebacker Tremaine Edmonds, scooped up former all pro kicker Jason Sanders, and brought back sturdy right tackle Jermaine Illuminor. While the roster is not complete, it is more balanced on paper. New York must still plug in the right guard slot, reinforce the defense interior, and add a legitimate depth to the cornerback room. But the fifth overall pick in the NFL draft ought to check off at least one of those boxes. Have the Giants been underestimated? That's a good question. right? Despite entering the off season with limited salary cap space, New York managed to invest a significant amount of money over the last couple of weeks. Big Blue has committed $88.485 million in full guarantees to free agents, which is the 10th most in the NFL per over the cap. The Giants spent a great deal on offense, special teams, and run defense. Considering that those were some of the team's most glaring weaknesses, one might argue that their PFF war added should be even higher. That is all right, though, because the individual who may make the biggest difference is actually on the sidelines, not on the field. This metric does not seem to measure the effect that John Harbaugh's arrival can have on the squad's performance. It is hard to properly assess Big Blue's offseason without acknowledging the vital experiences and notable accolades the Super Bowl 47 champion and six-time AFC North champion brings to the Giants. New York was not a conventional last place squad last year. It was poised to defeat the Denver Broncos, Chicago Bears, and Dallas Cowboys. Wins against the Green Bay Packers and Detroit Lions were also in reach, but poor coaching and a lack of discipline gave way to heartbreaking losses. Harbaugh gets plenty of ridicule for how he handles late game situations, but he is undoubtedly the best coach the Giants have had since Tom Coughlin. Wow. When combining his strong leadership presence with the incoming talent, this franchise could be much better by the opening kickoff. Okay, let's go on to some basketball news, man. Let me see. Let's go into some basketball news. Let's see. Let's go into some basketball news, man. So all right, so New York Knicks. Let me see. Let me just yeah, that's interesting though. That's interesting. There is beating good teams in the second half than there is what the New York Knicks did to the San Antonio Spurs on Sunday afternoon at Madison Square Garden. Behind Mikal Bridges' 25 points and 5 steals, New York drubbed the number 2 seed in the Western Conference, who entered the weekend matinee in the Big Apple on an 11-game winning streak. Obviously, this is one of the better teams in the league, but you use every game as a benchmark once the All-Star break passes, head coach Mike Brown said. End quote, I've been with teams where we've lost against good teams and we still won a championship. You use every game, but this is a better team. Yeah. And you can really look closely at it to dissect different things about the game because it could be a potential matchup in the playoffs. But whether we win or lose, whether we win or if we lose, that doesn't necessarily mean that we're going to make it to our ultimate goal. And as complete imbalance in attack as seen all season, Jalen Brunson added 24 with 7 assists. Karl Anthony Towns posted 12 points and 14 rebounds. And Josh Hart had 10 points, 10 boards, and 7 helpers of his own. Hold on one second. All right. Off the bench, rookie forward Muhammad Diawara, was solid for a second straight game, recording 14 points on 4 3-pointers 2 nights prior in Milwaukee. He posted 10 points and 3 boards in 23 minutes. The Knicks turned the game on its head early with a 26-2 run between the first and second quarters, which overturned an initial 19-7 hole. At one point during that run, New York reeled off 19 straight points, which was the largest unanswered run allowed by the Spurs this season, while Bridges had the hot hand, shooting 10 of 17 from the floor and 5 of 9 from 3-point range. Hart once again provided the sandpaper sandpaper necessary. Oh shit. Oh man. The sandpaper necessary to lead a collective effort to neutralize Spurs star Victor Wem Wembanyama, who who still had 25 points, 13 rebounds, and 4 blocks in the loss. But the Knicks forced him to commit 7 turnovers. His afternoon was embodied just over 4 minutes into the third quarter. When with the Knicks up 61-51, he cut in front of the much larger Wembanyama for an offensive rebound off a missed Brunson floater and got it out to Bridges for an open triple. Once a team that struggled mightily defending the perimeter, the Knicks held the Spurs to just a 26% success rate from deep. End quote. This was a good win. This was a good win by our guys, Brown said. For them to shoot 26% from the three, our activity from the weak side was good. We had 5 guys on a string. So when we went to go help on dribble drives, our weak side was active in the way. All right. Let me see. Let me see. Oh, yes, St. John's. Let's go to St. John's. All right. Hemingway's great work may need some tweaking because the bell now tolls for Dylan Darling. The junior guard had hit one of the most famous shots in St. John's history as his driving layup at the buzzer lifted the number 5 number 5 Red Storm over number 4 Kansas in the second round of the NCAA tournament and into the Sweet 16 for the first time since 1999. And to think he did not even see it happen. End quote, the ball left my hands and I hit the ground and I didn't even see the ball go in, Darling said. I just heard everybody going crazy and everybody was jumping around. It was pretty cool, though. Pretty cool. He was certainly due for that moment. He had not hit a shot all night, but after Kansas tied the game up at 65 apiece with free throws and then decided to foul St. John's until there were 4 seconds left on the clock, Darling implored that head coach Rick Pitino called his number. Bells comes up to me and says, run power, which is a high back screen pick and roll. So I walked away and I said, wait a second, he hasn't scored a bucket and he wants to run a play for himself. Pitino recounted, but he's Bells, and not only he do it, he went with his right hand. Pitino penned that Bells nickname for Darling on February 7th after he hit a game-winning three-pointer to defeat Xavier on the road in Cincinnati, telling reporters post-game that he's got balls. As he oh shit. Oh shit. Yeah, he got balls as big as church bells. Honestly, there really wasn't time for nothing else, Darling said. The ball was at half court. I think Oziah Sellers and Johnson Shannon were in. I told them to go to the corners, and the play is just Zuby Ejiofor sets a lat ball screen at the top of the 3-point line. Let's see. I figured if somebody helped off the corners, I would um throw it to the corner. Or if they if they helped off, however you spell this, helped off Zuby, I'd throw it to Zuby. I ended up going right. I saw the lane and I just went for it. Real proud of him because to want the ball when you haven't made a shot is unbelievable. Patino added. I'm so happy for St. John's and the fans. We had great fans out there. The cards are certainly stacked against the Johnnies at this NCAA tournament, despite being in the East region as the number 5 seed, which is surprising in itself given that they were Big East regular season and tournament champions who finished the season by going 19-1. They had to play their first 2 games out in San Diego. Now they travel to Washington, D.C. for the Sweet 16 against the region's number 1 seed, Duke. I'm so jubilant, so happy for the fellas. Patino said, "We've taken another step now. So it's just awesome. It's just starting. The fun is just starting." All right. Let me see what else to talk about here before I leave anything out though. Let me see. Yeah, let's talk about the Mike Tauchman injury, man. This is very unfortunate and it's very tough, man. Let's talk Mike Tauchman, man. Hold on. Let me find that story. Yeah, here we go. Here we go. All right, Mets manager Carlos Mendoza announced this morning that outfielder Mike Tauchman has a meniscus tear in his knee and will require surgery. I'll break down what a meniscus is and the side effects behind it and some treatment in just a moment. That certainly takes the 35-year-old out of the equation for the Mets' final decisions about their opening day roster. But assuming he stays with the organization, it is the sort of surgery that should give him an opportunity to join the Mets roster at some point this season. Coming off a very solid 2025 season with the White Sox, Tauchman signed a minor league deal with the Mets in mid-February. And in Grapefruit League play, he hit 241, 371, 448 with a home run, putting himself on track to get a spot on the Mets roster to start the season. With Tauchman sidelined, though, the starting gig in right field should belong to top prospect Carson Benge, who very well might have made the team even if Tauchman hadn't gotten hurt. After looking very good in the upper levels of the minors last year, the 23-year-old has looked fantastic in spring training games. He's hit 368, 442, 447 in those exhibition games and will be an exciting player to watch as the season gets underway. Yeah, it seems like he's going to be missing 6 weeks. Yeah, it seems like he's going to be missing 6 weeks. Yeah, so Mike Tauchman underwent surgery Thursday morning to repair the meniscus tear in his left knee. Yeah, it seems like he's going to be missing 6 weeks, according to John Heyman of the New York Post. That's crazy, man. Um, that's crazy. And let's see. Let's see. Let's break down what a meniscus is. Actually, I tried to actually explain this to the guys from the Queens Baseball Live podcast, actually. And shout out to Odd Villain for clearing this up, though, man. He compared the meniscus to um the airbags, like the airbags from your cars that pop up from from the steering wheel, right? All right, I'm gonna break this. Let's break this down, man. So in Mike Tauchman's case, let's talk about what a meniscus is. So, what is a meniscus, you ask? Meniscus tear to be at to to better explain this. All right, so you have two shaped discs of cartilage, which is the soft tissue that connect your thigh bone to your shin bone. These are called menisci. They are like shock absorbers for your bones. Um, they also help to keep your knee stable. A meniscus tear is a pretty common knee injury, which I agree with Odd Villain on this. It's the most common injury that any athlete ever experienced, whether you're playing baseball, whether you're playing basketball, football, or any other sports whatsoever, even if it's the Olympics. Um, so yeah, of course, injuries are impossible to avoid. And as far as like staying healthy, it's gonna be a difficult challenge though. Anyway, um, yeah, athletes who play contact sports such as football and hockey are prone to meniscus tears. Damn, damn, damn. That shit gotta hurt though. That shit gotta hurt though. Yeah, that shit's gotta hurt though, man. All right, all right, all right. Just trying to make a point here through the sound effects, though, man. Please forgive me. Just trying to burn time. I'm trying to burn time with this podcast recording episode. So, just keep up with me. All right, all right, all right. So, yes, um, as I was saying before, yes, athletes who play contact sports such as football, hockey, um, baseball, basketball, basketball, Olympics are prone to meniscus tears. This tear is most likely to happen when you turn your upper leg, but your foot stays planted on the ground. But you can also get this injury when you kneel, squat, or lift something heavy. The risk of injury increases as you get older when bones and tissues around the knee begin to wear down. If you tear your meniscus, your leg might swell and feel stiff, and you may have to limp when you walk. You might feel pain when twisting your knee, be unable to straighten your leg fully, or feel the joint catch when you move it. The meniscus tear diagnosis. Okay, treatment for meniscus tear would depend on its size, what kind is it, and where it's located within the cartilage. Um, so one of the games I was watching, what the commentators, I believe Gary Apple and I think Gary Apple or Steve Gelbs or Keith, whoever the commentators was doing the game when Mike Tauchman injured himself. Actually, one of them said it has to do with his left knee because he had that problem with his right knee over the years. So All right. So your doctor will perform a physical exam to see if the meniscus is torn, how badly and where. If your doctor thinks the meniscus might be torn, they will likely suggest an MRI scan. This test is very effective at helping your doctor see your injury. Your doctor may also suggest an arthros. Hold on, hold on, an off roll. Hold on, arthroscopy to see the inside of the knee better. During this test, your doctor will make a small incision in your knee and put in a scope with a light attached to get images. Meniscus tears are put into three categories depending upon which category you are in and your physical goals. Your doctor will recommend one of the following treatments. So, treatments treatment options for grade 1 and grade 2 meniscus tears. If your doctor's exam shows your meniscus tear is mild, grade 1 or 2, you may not need surgery. Conservative treatment, most likely your doctor will recommend that you rest, use pain relievers, and apply ice to your knee to keep the swelling down. While resting your knee, it's best to avoid movements that make the pain worse. Elevating your knee while icing it can help reduce swelling and pain. Icing it for 15 minutes at a time every 4 to 6 hours immediately after the injury. After a couple of days, ice ice it as needed. Physical therapy, very important. Your doctor may also suggest physical therapy. This will help to strengthen your muscles, strengthen the muscles around your knee and keep it stable. Keep it stable. You can use you can usually begin physical therapy when inflation in your knee is reduced and you can walk without pain. Physical therapy will usually consist of stretching and strengthening your leg muscles, especially those that support the knee. When you ec- hold on, when you can exercise, your therapist will start you with low impact exercises. After your leg is stronger and your mobility improves, you will likely be able to do more intense exercise. Your physical therapy can last from 4 weeks to more than 8 weeks. Depending on the severity of your tear, your doctor will evaluate your progress to see how long you'll need rehabilitation. Medications. Your doctor may recommend using non-steroidal and anti-inflammatory medications, such as I hold on, ibuprofen or naproxen. These can help reduce pain and swelling. Um, acetaminophen, oh boy, can also help with pain relief. Let me spell it out here, man. Acetaminophen. All right. So, all right, your doctor may recommend an injection in the knee with um corticosteroids. This anti-inflammatory medication helps reduce swelling and stiffness. Corticosteroids usually begin working in 2 to 3 days and are usually only given once. This medicine can increase blood sugar levels and it may not be an option if you have diabetes. If your doctor thinks you have a grade 1 or 2 tear, but your symptoms seem to be worse, they may recommend surgery. Meniscus tear surgery, if these treatments don't work for a low grade tear, or your doctor finds that you have a grade 3 tear, you will probably need surgery. The goal of surgery is to remove or repair the meniscus. By doing this, you should have more stability in the knee and reduce the risk of arthritis later in life. Your doctor will make sure that you are healthy enough for surgery, and you will usually receive general anesthesia before the procedure. Your doctor might choose to do any one of the following: arthroscopic repair. This is a short procedure that usually takes an hour or less. Or less. Your doctor will make small cuts in your knee and insert fluid to wash away debris and control bleeding to get a better view of the joint. They'll insert an arthroscope to see the tear. Then they'll place small devices that look like darts along the tear to stitch it up, which your body eventually absorbs. Because there is little blood supply to this area, only about 10% of tears can be repaired. Arthroscopic partial meniscectomy. Your doctor will begin with the same process as a repair, but they will remove the torn meniscus and leave the healthy part in the joint so your knee can function normally. Arthroscopic total meniscectomy. If there is too much damage to the cartilage to keep any part, your doctor will remove it. Will remove the whole meniscus. Shit, that sucks for my Tauchman's case though. I think 3 to 6 weeks. Yeah, 3 to 6 weeks. This can often lead to arthritis in the knee over time. If you are a young, healthy person, your doctor may recommend meniscus transplant surgery. Your doctor will get a replacement cadaver meniscus from a tissue bank and place it in your knee. Knee replacement. This is not as common, but if your meniscus is torn and you have advanced arthritis in the knee, your doctor may recommend a total knee replacement. Meniscus repair is low risk. Complications are rare. They may include injury to the skin or nerves, infections, and knee stiffness. Um, Meniscus tear surgery recovery and outlook. You will likely be able to go home the same day of the surgery after you have recovered from the anesthesia. Your doctor may prescribe antibiotics to reduce the chance of getting an infection. They may also recommend compression stockings to help prevent blood clots. How long does it take to recover after meniscus tear surgery, you ask? If you have a partial or total menis hold on, meniscectomy, you may be able to put weight on your knee walking within a day or so. You should be able to return to sports you take part in within 4 to 6 weeks. Yeah, that sounds about right, though. That sounds about right. If your meniscus was repaired, it can take 6 to 9 months to return to sporting activities. Meniscus tear and repair surgeries tend to be effective, depending on the type of surgery and where it is located. Success rates are as high as 80% up to 5 years after the operation. Aftercare steps for at least the first week or so after surgery. Your doctor will recommend the right method for your knee: rest, ice compression, and elevation as much as possible. They will probably have you keep your original bandage on and avoid putting your leg fully underwater, like in a bath or a pool, until you return for a follow-up visit with your doctor. With meniscus repair surgery, you will probably have to use crutches to keep weight off your leg for several weeks. You may be in a brace for 6 to 8 weeks. If part of your meniscus was removed or replaced, you may have to use crutches for a week, depending on your doctor's recommendations. If your meniscus was replaced, You can often drive when you stop taking pain medication. After a partial repair on your leg, you can usually drive within a couple of weeks. It would take 2 to 3 weeks after a repair on your right leg. Physical therapy. Your doctor may recommend physical therapy as part of your recovery. It will help increase your range of motion and help your knee get stronger. They may also share some exercises you can do at home. Um, the initial weeks of physical therapy will be spent working to help you fully straighten your leg. Let's see, which you often can't do after a meniscus tear, and you bend your knee to 90 degrees. You'll work on stretching your hamstring and strengthening um, your quad, um, your quad, your quadriceps, excuse me, and calves. Your physical therapist will help you return to your normal walking gait, GAIT. Eventually, you will begin exercises that may include a stationary bike, squats, and the leg press machine. You will gradually work up to more time in motion and increase weight on gym machines. Handling pain after a meniscus tear surgery. You can have a lot of pain immediately and for up to a week after surgery. Your doctor may give you hydrocodone or oxycodone. Hold on, oxycodone, not oxycontin, folks, for pain relief. These these are narcotic medications and should only be taken as prescribed by your doctor. If you prefer not to take narcotics or if you want to take them less frequently, you may try taking 600 milligrams of ibuprofen every 8 hours and 1,000 milligrams of Tylenol every 6 hours. Talk to your doctor before taking any non-prescription medications to make sure they are safe and you won't have any interactions with prescriptions. Risk of meniscus tear surgery. It is rare to have major issues after arthroscopic meniscus tear surgery, but as with any surgery, it is possible to have a blood clot or infection afterwards. Other potential risk includes injury to the nerves, tissue, and blood vessels near the surgery site, arthritis in the joint when you age, joint stiffness, problems with the heart or lungs caused by anesthesia, pulmonary embolism. You should call your doctor if you have any of the following after surgery: a 101 degree or higher fever, a, a lot of blood or other fluid draining from the incisions, drainage coming from the wound with a bad smell, pain or swelling that doesn't stop when you prop up your leg, breathing problems, nausea or vomiting that won't stop, redness around the site of surgery that gets worse over time, pain, tenderness, or heat in your calf. All right, some takeaways. You may not always need surgery after a torn meniscus, but if you do, it may prevent arthritis and improve stability in the knee down the road. The surgery is done on an outpatient basis and is typically very safe, depending on whether or not you have a meniscus removal or repair. You can be back on your feet within a few days or several weeks. You can usually return to sports activities within 6 months. All right. Yeah, so there you go, right there, man. That's the moral of the story here. That's the moral of the story for Mike Tauchman. He's going to be out between 3 to 6 weeks. So that's not too much. That's not too much um into the regular season. So he's not gonna be out for that long. All right. I want to take 1 minute to talk about. Hold on. Before I do the Howie Rose thing, let me get the Jurickson Profar shit out the way. Yeah. On March 19th, Atlanta Braves outfielder Jurickson Profar's appeal of positive PED test was resolved, resulting in a 162 game suspension for testing positive the second time in the last year. The league announced that Profar tested positive for exogenous, excuse me, exogenous testosterone and its metabolites. The left-hander asked the MLB Players Union to file a grievance to baseball's independent arbitrator with hopes of reducing his penalty. ESPN reports that Profar will forfeit his entire $15 million salary for 2026 and will be ineligible for postseason play. This marks his second straight season of testing positive of performance enhancing drugs. That's a damn, damn, damn. That's a damn shame, man. That's a damn shame, man. You know what I'm saying? That's a damn fucking shame. Hold on. Yeah, that's pretty stupid of him, man. That's really fucking stupid to ruin your baseball career over stupid drugs. All right. All right, let's keep going here. Let's keep going here. All right, how does Jurickson Profar's 162 game suspension affect the Atlanta Braves in 2026? The Atlanta Braves issue a statement following Jurickson Profar's initial suspension. We were incredibly disappointed to learn that Jurickson Profar tested positive for a performance enhancing substance and is is in violation of MLB's drug prevention and treatment program, the team said. Our players are consistently educated about the program and the consequences if they are found to be in violation. The Atlanta Braves fully support the program. Jurickson Profar signed a 3-year, $42 million contract with the Braves on January 23rd, 2025. 3 months later, on March 31st, Profar received an 80-game suspension after testing positive for chronic gonadotropin. Profar was only able to participate in the team's first 4 games of 2025 before the suspension. Following his return, Profar batted 245 with a 787 OPS, tallying 14 home runs and 43 RBIs. Profar will only have played in 80 games with the Braves after his suspension is up during spring training of 2027. That's if there's no lockout, man. That's if there's no fucking lockout by the snake of Rob Manfred, of course, leaving him in an uncomfortable spot regarding his future with the team. His first suspension derailed what was already a rough start to the Braves 2025 season. They were swept in a 4-game series against the San Diego Padres. Braves manager Walt Weiss remains optimistic in the wake of Profar's suspension. The moral of the story is something good is likely to come from the bad news, Weiss said. it just tends to happen that way. Someone's going to step up, someone's going to get an opportunity. Luckily for the Braves, they picked up free agent outfielder Mike Yastrzemski in the offseason. This became a more important signing than the Braves could have imagined. But even with the signing of Yastrzemski, the Braves are on the clock to make adjustments and fill a roster spot that has just opened up. Um, Jurickson Profar is one of the 6 players to receive a 162 game ban for PEDs since the MLB increased the penalty for 2-time offenders in 2014. Despite Profar's excuse me, despite Profar's attempt for appeal through the MLBPA, the league managed to uphold the penalty, continuing to push the narrative that PED use will not be tolerated. Profar was entering his 13th season at 33 years old prior to his suspension, leaving his future in the MLB with a big question mark. All right. All right. Let me go to Sean Manaea, man. Let's go to Sean Manaea and then I'll go to Howie. All right, so the New York Mets have one of the deepest starting rotations in all of Major League Baseball entering the 2026 MLB season. There are 6 quality starting options who will make the opening day roster, plus 4 others who could get some run in the rotation this year. And for one pitcher, Sean Manaea, his role will be far from a traditional starting role in 2026. According to Joe Sherman of the New York Post, Carlos Mendoza revealed that Manaea will be in a piggyback role to begin the year, coming into a game after one of the other Mets starters opens the game. Mets to use the piggyback plan for Sean Manaea to begin season. First 6 Mets games. Of course, Peralta, who I saw today, even though he gave it the 2 home runs to Lowe and the other guy, on Ryan O'Hearn. Peterson, you got Nolan Lightning McLean. You got Clay Holmes, Kodai Senga, of course, Peralta again, Sherman reports. Manaea will be part of a piggyback situation, but Mendoza won't say which game. The Mets will be running out Freddie Peralta as their opening day starter, then turning to David Peterson for game 2, Nolan Lightning McLean for game 3, Clay Holmes for game 4, and Kodai Senga for game 5 before returning to Peralta for the 6th game. Instead of running a standard 6-man rotation with Manaea getting game 6 before returning to Peralta for the 7th game of the year, Mendoza will use Manaea in a piggyback role. That role from Manaea, the 34-year-old lefty, will mean that he comes into a game after one of the starters comes out. Since he can go for longer as a starter, this gives the Mets the ability to turn to Manaea for a large portion of the game he enters. It's an interesting role for the lefty who had a 3.72 ERA in 9.2 innings pitched this spring, but it does make sense considering their strong starting rotation. While Manaea's role is confirmed, there is no clarification about which game he will enter in the middle of. He could take over mid-game for any starter, but there's no indication of which pitcher he will piggyback with in the opening portion of the season. His role will likely change as the season goes on. But for now, the Mets will be using Manaea in a piggyback role with one of their 5 starters at the beginning of the year. Um, Listen, I know some of you Mets fans out there who expected Sean Manaea to get surgery to get the bone chips out of there, out of his elbow, his left elbow. Even if he was to get the surgery, we don't know how long his recovery time from Tommy John surgery is going to be. That's why he didn't really announce anything, because you don't want you don't want to shame the guy, man. You know what I'm saying? No matter how much money he's getting paid, you don't want to shame the guy. Like, why are we shaming players for not getting surgery and all that other shit? That's the thing I'm not really understanding right here, man. And I get that y'all want to win a championship in the World Series, but I think it's very difficult to win a World Series, though. It's very difficult, especially if you're trying to get past the toughest teams like the Dodgers, the Philadelphia Phillies, and along with other teams. You feel what I'm saying? So that's just my take on that, though, man. So even though he was a little bit of upset, but he understands now. He understands what he has to do. So, you know what I'm saying? And the thing here's another thing. Here's another thing, guys. We're not doctors, man. We're Mets fans. We can't and I said this before, man. We cannot predict who's going to be healthy or not. We can't make any predictions on who's going to stay healthy or not, because we're not doctors. All right? So yeah. There you go. Now I can actually take 1 minute to talk about Howie Rose retirement. Howie Rose is being viewed for one last go at the microphone by the same 2 motivators that have nagged at his consciousness for as long as he's worked with the New York Mets in 1987. The 72-year-old New York native who grew up a Mets fan, entrenched within the upper deck of Shea Stadium, and idolized the legendary broadcasting trio of Bob Murphy, Lindsey Nelson, and the late great Ralph Kiner, wants to call the final out of his boyhood club's World Series championship. And in quote, time's getting short for that. At least as far as I'm concerned, Paul McCartney and Ringo Starr are in their 80s too, Rose joked, adding he also wants to meet the 2 surviving members of his favorite band, the Beatles. So I got to hit the gas here, but there's only so much I could control. But the 2026 season also provides one last opportunity to honor his father, the man who introduced him to baseball but never got to see him reach the immense heights in broadcasting he achieved. Alzheimer's took him in 1978. It kills me. I've carried around a little chip on my shoulder my entire life, Rose said. Damn, that hurts, man. That really hurts. I've always been somewhat bitter about that. If I had one huge regret, the bond that you have with your dad when you learn and follow baseball together was so deep with me. For him not to have shared any of it with me is something I'll never get over. Let's see. I know he's proud. Rose announced his retirement following the 2026 season on Thursday, allowing him to take the victory lap he deserves this summer in what will be his 40th season working with the team. He hosted Mets Extra from 1987 to 1984, then moved to the TV booth. He has been the team's lead radio voice since 2006. That is extremely humbling because I knew that Lindsey Neeson, Bob Murphy, and the late great Ralph Kiner did for me, Rose said. They were in my eyes and ears for 7 months every year. So they became very much part of a family of sorts. I looked at them in a avuncular way. So when people tell me that I've had that impact on them as those three did on me, that's frankly the most flattering thing anybody could say to me. That sentiment humbles me the most. Rose had already let it be known last month that he would be cutting back even further on his broadcasting schedule. He will not travel with the Mets this season, calling all 81 home games and the three Subway Series games in the Bronx against the Yankees down from the 100 games he did last season. He is thankfully in good health after a bladder cancer scare in 2021 that forced him to undergo a radical stop stop hold on stop prostectomy. This decision is predicted on family and enjoying life away from the ballpark. um Rose and his wife Barbara sold their house on Long Island and moved down to Florida full time. He will rent a place for the 2026 season. And in quote, I'm sick and tired of coming home at 11, a little after 11, and there's Barbara sitting at the kitchen table or the living room on her computer. I can't do that to her anymore, Rose said. My wife and daughters have sacrificed so much for so long. I'm 72 now. To me, that's just enough. If I've lost a tick or two off my fastball, I've learned to compensate for that. But I don't want to hang around too long where it becomes noticeable that they are not what they were. I don't want to be one of those guys where people say, what's he still doing on the air? Doesn't have any other interest. I've got some other interests, and I'll pursue them at the end of this season. Hold on. Um, end quote. I want to enjoy retirement, not stagger into it. I want to be able to screw up on a golf course as continually as I do and try other things that I'll no doubt stink at. But I'm in a position physically I can do that. None of us is guaranteed anything beyond our waking day. So I just can't imagine working long enough so that when I retire, I'm basically not capable of doing anything. Before that happens, though, perhaps one more magical run awaits, the kind that he got to witness as a 15-year-old when the Miracle Mets won the 1969 World Series. I appreciate everybody with the Mets, and I hope this year ends up on the steps of City Hall, he said. Yeah, that's heavy, man. That's some heavy shit, though, man. You know what I'm saying? That's some heavy shit. All right. Darryl Strawberry did an interview in one of the spring training games with Michelle Margaux, right? So here's what happened. Mets legend Darryl Strawberry walked back his recent comments that Pete Alonso would regret leaving New York for Baltimore, saying he was referring to more to his own situation when he departed the Mets in 1991. End quote. I was talking about the mistakes that I made of leaving, Strawberry said Tuesday from Clover Park, where he is serving this week as a guest instructor. This is not about me and Pete. I love Pete, um and I always had hope that he would stick around and be the guy to break all the numbers. A day earlier, Strawberry told reporters that one day Alonso is going to wake up just like I did and regret you didn't stick where you are at. 4 months after breaking Strawberry's franchise home franchise home run record with his 253rd career homer. Alonso left the Mets in December on a 5-year, $155 million contract with the Orioles. The act was reminiscent of Strawberry's decision to leave the Mets for the Dodgers on a 5-year, $20.25 million contract after the 1990 season. In Strawberry's case, he rejected a lesser offer to stay in Flushing. The Mets never made Alonso an offer to stay, according to a source. Alonso wound up pushing the franchise home run mark to 264, but no further. He fell short of setting RBI and other records that would have been well within his reach had he stayed. End quote. I ended up with a lot of regrets for leaving, Strawberry said. One day you wake up and you feel that inside of yourself after you've played in one place and you were loved by the fans. And then all of a sudden, you are no longer there. It's heartbreaking. I was shocked to see the fact that it was going to be over for him, especially after breaking my home run record that stood for so long. And there were more records that he could have put his name on and been at the top as a player that came through the organization from the bottom up and built his way up. End quote. I don't want people to make a big thing out of this. I'm not down here for that. It's done and it's over. He's over there. It's not a negative thing. I don't want to make this out as a negative thing. I'm trying to make sure this is a positive thing about his career and coming through the organization and what he accomplished. Okay, you tell him. You tell him that. All right. Let me see. Let me see what else to talk about here. Let me make sure I don't miss out on anything. All right. Let's talk about Nick Burdi. Let's talk about Nick Burdi. Hang on. Hang on 1 second. Where is Nick Burdi? Where is this? Where is this? Okay, Nick Burdi. Where is Nick Burdi? Hold on 1 second here. Where's Nick Burdi? Hold on 1 second here. Right. All right. According to Amazing Avenue, you can never have enough bullpen options in the Mets, like every other team during the offseason. Search far and wide to find some intriguing pitchers that they could sign and try out in spring training. One of those options is Nick Burdi, a former second round draft pick who is looking to rebuild his career after undergoing thoracic outlet surgery and a second Tommy John surgery within the past few years. He's enjoyed some limited success in recent seasons, which he will be looking to parlay into a spot in the Mets bullpen. Burdi, a 33-year-old right-hander from Hinesdale, Illinois, was a standout Downers Grove South High School. He was a quarterback on the football team while also sporting a 95 miles per hour fastball. After garnering attention for his athletic prowess, he entered the draft straight out of high school with dreams of getting selected in the higher rounds, but fell to the 24th round. Oof. Instead of signing, he opted to go to college where he excelled as a closer at the University of Louisville, posting a 0.78 ERA in 34 and two-third innings as a sophomore and a 0.49 ERA in 37 innings as a junior. Those numbers helped him climb 22 rounds in the 2014 draft, where he was taken 46 overall by the Twins, the same team that took him in 2011 and tagged as a top prospect. He never did appear in a game for Minnesota, however, and he was eventually taken by the Phillies in the Rule 5 draft and immediately traded to the Pirates, for whom he made his major league debut in 2018. After 2 appearances that season, he made the team out of spring training in 2019 and appeared in 11 games for Pittsburgh, allowing 9 earned runs on 11 hits with 17 strikeouts and 3 walks over 8 and 2/3 innings. He was sent down in April, and he eventually underwent thoracic outlet surgery in June, which cut his season short. He made 3 appearances for the club in 2020, but eventually underwent Tommy John surgery, an operation he also had in May 2017. He missed all of 2021 while he recovered and was signed by the Padres ahead of the 2022 season, but he never made the team. Burdi eventually landed with the Cubs in 2023, where he allowed 3 earned runs in 3 innings before, excuse me, 3 outings before electing free agency at year's end. Um, Year's end. Let me see. Yeah, let me see. His journey brought him to New York, where he signed with the Yankees. He enjoyed his most success at the big league level with the Bronx Bombers, posting a 1.86 ERA with 12 strikeouts over a career high 9 and 2/3 innings. He finished the year with a career best 0.3 B WAR after those 12 outings. He was fairly successful last year with the Red Sox, pitching 5 1/3 scoreless innings with 5 strikeouts and 2 walks. He finished 2025 with a 0.2 B WAR with Boston. The Mets signed Burdi early on in the offseason. The same day, they also signed Robert Stock, Anderson Severino, and Jose Ramos as non-roster invitees. The hard-throwing Burdi will get a chance to prove himself this spring, and given his recent track record and his former top prospect status, there's potentially some chance that he can make the roster. I doubt it. The bullpen as it stands now is fairly malleable and does have some spots that are left to be decided by the top performers this spring. It's far more likely that the 33-year-old Burdi will begin the year in AAA if he accepts his post-spring assignment, and could find his way up to Citi Field later in the year if there are any injuries. But players like Burdi are never bad to have in AAA, and he could see some action for the club in 2023. Yeah, yeah, man. I didn't even think about this though, man. It's pretty crazy though. Let's go to Jacob Reimer. All right. Let's go to Jacob Reimer. Hold on 1 second. Let me find it. Let's look for it. Okay, Jacob Reimer. Where is he? Where is he? Okay, wait. Let me see. Okay. Yes, Jacob Reimer, and then Craig Kimbrel. All right, so national, according to National Today, sorry about that. I had to put that on mute due to a loud motorcycle. All right, according to National today. Jacob Reimer, a 22-year-old third base prospect in the Mets organization, is impressing team officials during his first major league spring training camp. Reimer, who has big power and a strong arm, is one of several young players in Mets camp this year who are opening eyes, including outfield candidates Carson Benge and AJ Ewing. I'll get to Carson Benge in a sec. Um, why it matters, you ask. The Mets are looking to build for the future, and the strong performances of young players like Reimer, Bench, and Ewing in spring training are an encouraging sign for the team's long-term outlook. Reimer, in particular, is seen as a potential future contributor at third base for the Mets. The details for Reimer, a 22-year-old base prospect, has been soaking up knowledge from the Mets coaching staff and veteran players during his first major league spring training camp. He says he's learned more in the past few weeks than he has in his whole life, and he's eager to pick the brains of the more experienced players on things like approach at the plate and defensive strategy. Of course, Reimer is participating in his first major league spring training camp. Yeah, yeah. He in the future, most likely in 2027, we might see him. Most likely, that's if we don't have a fucking bullshit lockout by MLB by the snake of Rob Manfred. Craig Kimbrel unfortunately did not make the opening day roster. Relief pitcher Craig Kimbrel did not exercise his opt-out clause in the minor league deal with the New York Mets yesterday, which took place on March 19th, as a source told Mets on Sports Illustrated. Kimbrel is hoping to make the Mets major league bullpen when camp breaks on Monday. The unit has one spot remaining after manager Carlos Mendoza reviewed Huascar Brazaban, would have the sixth slot. The Mets would typically carry 8 relievers, but they are instead going with a 6-man rotation to open the season. That means they will hold 6 starters and 7 relievers come opening day. Kimbrel, age 37, is having a shaky spring training where he has struggled with his command. In 6 appearances, Kimbrel has walked 5 batters and hit 2 of them. His velocity has also been down around 92 miles per hour. Kimbrel's biggest competition for the final bullpen spot are lefties Brian Hudson and Dick Lovelady. The Mets could opt to complement southpaw Brooks Raley and another left-hander in the bullpen. However, Hudson has had his troubles in Grapefruit League action, as well as 16.20 ERA in 3.1 innings. The Mets recently reacquired Lovelady off waivers from the Washington Nationals. The team designated Lovelady for assignment on 4 separate occasions last year. Hudson posted a 1.73 ERA with the Milwaukee Brewers in 62.1 innings in 2024. The Mets have also been impressed by his velocity this spring. The final bullpen spot will come down to the wire, and the Mets could choose to acquire another reliever as well. The latter would spell trouble for Kimbrel, Hudson, and Lovelady, but for now, it's going to come between this trio for one last bullpen opening. Come on. Yeah. So there you go. There you go. Craig Kimbrel did not make the opening day roster. So there you go, right there. Let's see. Let me see. Let me see. Let me see. Let me see if there's anything else I need to talk about before I forget. Yeah, yeah. Congratulations to Carson Benge for making the opening day roster in place of Mike Tauchman. I know it's pretty unfortunate, but it is what it is. It is what it is. So I'll save the best for last, actually. Yes. And according to Mesmerize Online, per Mike Puma of the New York Post, Carson Benge has made the Mets opening day roster and will join the team in Queens as their right fielder. It is easy to point his It's easy to point to his 366, 435, 439, 874 spring training line to justify his call up, but he also showed a lot under the hood that should help him excel in the majors. 91.5% zone contact, 89th percentile, 17.3% whiff rate, 85 percentile, 11, excuse me, 110.8 miles per hour max exit velocity, 77th percentile, 18.4 strike, hold on, 18.4% strikeout rate, 64th percentile. Hold on. 26.2% chase rate, 56th percentile, 105.6 miles per hour, 90% exit velocity, 51st percentile. To put it plainly, Carson Benge showed that he was a tough hitter to pitch to almost every at bat. He put up a fight, drawing long counts and showing off his plus contact rates. He did not swing and miss much, and he put the ball in play. He began to walk more as spring progressed, ending at a respectable 8.2% walk rate. There are still some areas for him to improve during the season. He did not pull a single fly ball in the air in spring, though his style of play dating back to college has largely relied on driving the ball to the opposite field. Benge also ran a 71.9% ground ball rate, which he will likely look to clean up and get closer to. Um, the 42.5% rate he put up in AAA. It's important to note these stats are just a small sample size compared to the simulated games, batting practices, and various drills the Mets saw Benge partake in during spring. Manager Carlos Mendoza already explained that the Mets are not concerned about his power because they witnessed it across other parts of spring training. Mets hitting coaches Jeff Albert and Troy Snicker likely have a hitting plan for Bench to help him continue to develop and improve throughout the season. 14 of Bench's 46 PA. Not sure what that is. I think it's point average or something like that. Not sure. Hold on. Yeah. 14 of Ben's 46 PA. I think it's point average or something like that. Not sure. But 30.4% came against left-handed pitching this spring, with the majority of them coming against major league pitchers, including Ryan Weathers, Matthew Liberatore, and Josh Fleming. While he did not hit the ball as hard against Southpaws, he still put up a plus 86.4% zone contact rate, 20% whiff rate, 19.5% chase rate, and 18.8% strike zone rate. From this small sample size, there seems to be little concern about needing to platoon for him. Needing to platoon for him regularly. Um, Defensively, Benge looked stellar in right field. He covered a lot of ground and made tough plays, including an out in his final game that looked like a clear hit. Manager Carlos Mendoza described Benge as a player with good jumps in addition to his plus throwing arm. While Benge is still a rookie and may have growing pains as he adjusts to the majors. Um, hold on. Yeah, while Benj is still a rookie and may have growing pains as he adjusts to the majors, he is an exciting and dynamic player to watch as he brings some youth into a clubhouse full of established veterans. All right, speaking of which, man, last but not least, man, before I get to the rundown of the Mets schedule, um, I will actually I would actually do that actually. So let's um let's do this last topic here. All right. All right, let me see. Where is it? All right. When was the last time you ever seen an opposing pitcher get pulled in the first inning? Never. I was literally laughing so hard because Paul Skeens got knocked the fuck out. It's just like the saying "down goes Frazier," man, which is Paul Skeens. oh my, oh my goodness, man, that shit was so fucking crazy, man. Yeah, listen, in case you didn't know, opening day was today, and in hopes of last improving that last year truly means nothing. The New York Mets showed no mercy for reigning National League Cy Young Award winner Paul Skeens and the Pittsburgh Pirates. They sacked the superstar right-hander for 5 runs in the first inning and batted around, running him from the game. Oh man. oh, oh man. That's funny, man. That's very funny though, man. But yeah. yeah. Yeah, man. Yeah. Yeah, they sacked the superstar right-hander for 5 runs in the first inning and batted around it, running him from the game just after 2 outs, sparking an 11-7 victory on opening day at Citi Field today, which was this afternoon. oh man. Yo, I'm sorry, man, but I gotta play this sound effect real quick, man. I'm sorry, man. Yo, this is so funny, man. And I can't even imagine if this happened the second time with an opposing team of a starter, I would be on the floor laughing. Best believe, man. oh shit, man. oh man. Down goes Frazier. oh man. Oh my goodness, man. I gotta do this. I gotta do this. This guy ran for the fucking hills, man. Hold on, sorry about that. Yeah, sorry about that. Wrong button. Yeah, he ran for the fucking hills, man. Oh man, I can't help it. I cannot help this. So yeah, man. Let me see, man. Woo! Woo-wee! That was a good laugh, man. I needed this. That was a good laugh, though. Definitely needed the shit, though, man. Yes, the offensive explosion is tied for the second most runs ever scored by the Mets. 1-0 on opening day. Freddie Peralta gets the win, his first win as a Met. They scored 12 in 1994 at Wrigley Field against the Cubs. It was Skeen. Hold on. It was Skeen's shortest start of his major league career, eclipsing his previous mark by some margin. He lasted just 2 innings in just 2024 regular season's finale against the New York Yankees. Brett Beatty's 3-run triple punctuated the big opening frame on a day that also featured Luis Robert Jr. driving in a pair of runs and Carson Benge's first homering for his first career hit in the MLB debut. He had his first home run actually, which is pretty good actually. So yeah, has Skeens center field O'Neal Cruz made a few plays, the Pittsburgh Aces afternoon might have gone differently. Given a 2-zip lead following Brandon Lau's 2-run home run off Mets ace and debutant Freddie Peralta, who got the win, by the way. He got his first win as a Met. All right, so Skeens walked Lindor and allowed a single to Juan Soto to put runners at the corners. The Mets have the deficit with Bo Bichette's sacrifice fly. Yeah, Bo Bichette actually got an RBI for the sacrifice fly he did. And yo, he fouled off so many pitches, man. I thought he was he's gonna be going the Luis Guillorme route though, man, with 22 foul pitches. That would have been amazing, man. Yes, following a Jorge Polanco infield single and a 10-pitch Luis Robert Jr. walk, Brett Beatty hit a searing liner to center field that Cruz initially stepped in to play until realizing the ball was well over his head. It rolled to the wall to clear the bases with Beatty standing on third with a triple. The very next batter, Marcus Semien, hit a lazy pop fly to center, but Cruz lost it in the sun to score Beatty from third and to put the Mets up 5-2. And in quote, that first inning was impressive. Mets manager Carlos Mendoza said right out of the gate with Lindor walking and then just going first to third to put pressure on. That's some of the things that we talk about. If you want to beat guys like this, you have to play perfect baseball. Pretty much the whole inning, how everything unfolded, pretty impressive. Yes, indeed, it was. Peralta's Mets debut was not stellar, allowing 4 runs on 6 hits with 7 strikeouts and 0 walks. Um, Most of the damage was being done by a pair of loud round trippers. His second being a solo shot with 2 outs in the third inning to cut New York's lead to 5-3. Other than the 2 mistakes he made to Lau, he was pretty good, Mendoza said. They put together some really good at bats, fouled off some pitches, laid off some tough ones, ran his pitch count up, but he was able to get through five on a day when he missed a couple of pitches. Robert picked up his first RBI as a Met in the fourth with a two-out single to score Lindor and momentarily restore a three-run lead, though a Henry David double in the top of the fifth canceled it out. The Mets played it three in the fifth thanks to an RBI single from Soto, a bases loaded by no, excuse me, a bases loaded walk by Polanco, and an infield check swing single by Robert. In the sixth, Bench took a first pitch sweeper from Justin Lawrence into the bullpens in right center field, which was then followed up by a 429-foot blast to left from Francisco Alvarez. And he said during the SNY um, post game interview, in quote, I kind of blacked out running around the bases. Bench said, I don't remember too much. I know I got it good off the bat. And yes, he did. Yes, he did. The Mets continued their dominant run on opening day, improving their all-time record to an MLB best 42-23. Congratulations to Carson Benge and Francisco Alvarez and all the Met players who contribute to RBIs and runs. Um yeah, let's make some noise. Let's make some noise for the Met players, man, for doing their part to win this first opening day game. And I know many of you out there, including podcasters who cover the New York Mets, of course, um, many of you, of course, may have enjoyed themselves at the ballpark and everything else. So boom. Let me make some noise for the Mets players who did their part by making Paul Skeens and the other pitchers of the Pirates work through pitch counts. So that way they can get ran over and clobbered like they did today, 11-7. All right. Hold on 1 second. Yes. Let's make some noise for all the Met players who contribute to all the runs, the sac fly by Bo Bichette, two back-to-back home runs, Carson Benz, along with Francisco Alvarez, and along with everybody who basically made the pitcher work. That's how you do it. That's how you win games, man. Boom. All right, sorry about that, folks. I had to do a little something actually. I wanted to create a new segment where I can actually break down um the sports rundown schedule. Um yeah. Hold on 1 second here. Yeah, sorry about that. All right. All right, now that I got that down, I decided to create a segment in regards to breaking down the sports schedule for whether it's basketball, whether it's um basketball, football, and baseball in regards to New York teams. All right, so let's start off with let's start off with this new segment that I got jot down, the sports rundown schedule. All right, here we go. This is a new segment that I decided to create in regards to New York teams involving the New York Giants, the New York Knicks, um, and the New York Mets. So let me start off with I want to start off with hang on. I want to start off with the New York Knicks first, actually, if I'm not mistaken. Hold on. Hold on 1 second here. Um, Hang on 1 second. I think it's over. Hold on. Yeah. All right. Let's talk about some the. I want to get to the basketball schedule for the Knicks. All right. So. All right. Let me get to it right here with Let me see. We're in March. Today's the 26th. So yes. So Sunday, New York Knicks versus Oklahoma City Thunder, Sunday, March 29th at 7:30 p.m. on NBC, along with the New York Knicks versus Houston Rockets, Tuesday, March 31st at 8 p.m. on NBC as well. Chicago Bulls versus New York Knicks, Friday, April 3rd at 7:30 Eastern Time on MSG. New York Knicks versus Atlanta Hawks, Monday, April 6th, 7 p.m. Eastern Time on Peacock. Boston Celtics versus New York Knicks, Thursday, April 9th at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time on Amazon Prime Video. Let's see. Let me see. Toronto Raptors versus New York Knicks. Yeah, I just said that. Charlotte Hornets versus New York Knicks, Sunday, April 12th, 6 p.m. Eastern Time on MSG. Now we go to some baseball schedules. All right. Saturday, March 28th, Pirates versus New York Mets at 4:10 p.m. on SNY. Sunday, March 29th, Pirates versus New York Mets at 1:40 p.m. on SNY. Monday, March 30th, New York Mets versus the Cardinals at 7:45 p.m. on SNY. Tuesday, March 31st, New York Mets versus Cardinals at 7:45 p.m. on SNY. Wednesday, April 1st, which is April Fools. New York Mets versus Cardinals at 1:15 p.m. on SNY. Thursday, April 2nd, New York Mets versus the Giants at 9:45 p.m. on SNY. Friday, April 3rd, New York Mets versus the San Francisco Giants at 10:15 p.m. on Pix 11. Saturday, April 4th, New York Mets versus the Giants at 4:05 p.m. on SNY. Tuesday, April 7th, New York Mets versus the Diamondbacks at 7:10 p.m. on SNY. Wednesday, April 8th, New York Mets versus the Diamondbacks at 7:10 p.m. on SNY. Thursday, April 9th, New York Mets versus the Diamondbacks on SNY at 7:10 p.m. on SNY. Friday, April 10th, Athletics. I meant to put Athletics, excuse me. Yeah, Athletics. Yeah, let me correct that. Let me correct that. Yes, Athletics. Let me do that. Yes, Saturday, April 11th, Athletics versus the New York Mets at 4:10 p.m. on SNY. Sunday, April 12th, Athletics versus New York Mets at 1:40 p.m. on SNY. All right. And then you have Monday, April 13th, New York Mets versus Dodgers, 10:10 p.m. Same time as Tuesday, April 14th, 10:10 p.m. on SNY. Wednesday, April 15th, New York Mets versus the Dodgers at 10:10 p.m. on ESPN. And then Friday, New York Mets versus the Cubs, 2:20 p.m. That's an afternoon game, actually. That's in a different time zone, actually. So, yes, so New York Mets versus Cubs at 2:20 p.m. on Pix 11. Saturday, April 18th, New York Mets versus Cubs at 2:20 p.m. on SNY. And then Sunday, April 19th, New York Mets versus the Cubs, 2:20 p.m. on SNY. All right. All right. I'm about to wrap this up right now in a bow. Let me just do this. Let me just do this real quick. Hold on. All right, we're gonna wrap up right here with this last segment right here, which is stream choices on the go. Let's go. All right, guys. Make sure you follow the Sports Edition show, Excellent Fun Vibrant Talks podcast, alongside on Facebook, alongside with Blue Sky Social, along with Threads and Instagram. The same goes for my other podcast shows that I do. The entertainment review show, Meticulous Vibe Juice podcast, alongside with Off the Meat Rat Chains New York Avenue podcast, also on the same social media platforms. And of course, you can follow your host with the most G Money Stacks 555 in Queens, New York. And you can also go to the link in bio where it says Linktree/Excellent Fun Vibrant Talks Pod. And I'll be glad to go over some audio streaming platforms and visuals where you can listen to the episodes. This includes Audible, Odyssey, Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts. Don't forget to leave a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts alongside with a positive review. It really helps me a lot as your host with the most for multiple podcast shows that I'm doing. And of course, the sports podcast is on Castbox FM. These are Listen Notes, Moon FM podcast, Overall FM podcast. You got Player FM, Pocket Cast, Pandora, Podo Polo, Podorama podcast, Index podcast, Addict, Podchaser, Podverse, Podcast Guru, Podcatcher, Podcast Republic, Snip. You can also add the podcast to your Spotify playlist and click on the notification bell so you'll be notified on each episode that's going to be dropping on audio streaming platforms. All right. And you can also listen to the episodes on Spotify for creators alongside with TuneIn Radio, Fountain, Good Pods, iHeartRadio, the #1 app where you can listen to your favorite music artists such as rappers, R&B singers, pop stars, different music genres, your favorite AM and FM stations in radio, and you can also listen to the podcast episodes for free. You don't need a credit card or debit card to download iHeartRadio. All you need to do is download iHeartRadio onto your phones, which includes Apple, iPhones, Android phones, iPads, Android tablets. Laptops includes Apple, Mac laptop models, and Dell laptop models, which includes Windows 10 and Windows 11. All right. Make sure you click on the sports YouTube channel page, Excellent Fun Vibrant Talks podcast on YouTube. Make sure you enable alerts so you be notified when I'll be on the air going live with more new video podcast episode recording live streams. All right. Leave a like and a comment. You can share the video with every single person, including your friends, which includes your husbands, your wives, your boyfriends, girlfriends, people you're cool with from work. That's also into sports. And of course, share the Linktree link with the audio podcast feed links. And of course, you can download. You can also listen to the episodes while you are in your cars going to your destinations. You can also enable alerts so you'll be the first to know when I'll be on the air with new episodes, recording and video uploads, and of course, new episodes are dropping on Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. All right. And also make sure you do the same with my other YouTube channel pages on my entertainment YouTube channel page, my entertainment review show, Meticulous Juice podcast. Make sure you do the same on that one, and also do the same with my primary YouTube channel pages. No, my primary YouTube channel page where I have the Off the Meat Rat Chains New York Avenue podcast episodes on there for you to catch up. You can catch up on there, and of course, yes, do the same. Do the same by enabling alerts so you'll be able to know when I'll be on the air based on time and schedule and the day and everything else in between. All right, so I must say, man, that was a good laugh that I needed, though, man. The way Paul Skeens got pulled in the first inning. Like, listen, man, I needed this laugh because never in the history of me watching baseball games on TV that I ever heard of an opposing pitcher getting pulled in the first inning. That shit is so funny to me, man. Oh man. Yeah, man. This has been a great episode, man. And that's gonna do it for me. I'm your man G Money Stacks, aka the Gregonator, rhymes with now or later, just like the candy. And I'd like to say thank you to every single one of you for tuning in. You could have listened to any other sports podcast in the whole world, but you chose to listen to this sports podcast platform right here, though, man. And I appreciate every single one of you for tuning into episode 120, dedicating 1 minute to the legendary Howie Rose, who's going to be retiring this year, and of course reducing his broadcasting time to 80 games. Actually, man, he will be missed, and of course, I'm very proud of the New York Mets winning their first game on opening day at Citi Field. I bet you everybody went home with 2 home runs back to back, man. Shout out to Carson Benge, Francisco Alvarez, and along with the Mets players doing their part to actually not only sacrifice fly by Bo Bichette and everyone else, also making the pitcher work their pitch counts, man. That is what it is all about, man. Of course, you want to win some games. Of course, you want to win the championship games of the World Series, but it is an uphill battle, man. You feel what I'm saying? And also let me point out something though, man. I want to give a shout out to Dexter Henry, who has the Straight Outta Flushing Mets podcast, and Tyler, and let me see, yeah, Tyler Ward, aka Wardy, he's also on there as well. He couldn't make it because of an Achilles injury that he has to take care of and stuff. So that's pretty unfortunate though, man. And I wish him a full speed recovery. Don't rush, and take all the time you need to rest up. All right. Make sure you subscribe to the New York Post Sports YouTube channel page, where you can watch Straight Outta Flushing Mets podcast with Dexter Henry and Wardy. All right. And shout outs to Wardy, man, for doing this at Citi Field when Dexter Henry couldn't make it. I managed to actually congratulate him on being the new co-host of Straight Outta Flushing Mets podcast. And I wanted to actually congratulate him on his success and continue with your success, man. This is from one podcaster to another, including myself, G Money Stacks, and of course to the guys from Queens Baseball Live podcast. If you want to hear my voice, you can hear me on every single episode that I post and upload on the sports YouTube channel page of Excellent Fun Vibrant Talks podcast. Don't forget to subscribe on there. click on the like button, and of course, be sure to share this episode along with everybody. Have everybody subscribe to the channel. I'm really trying to grow this out, and I actually like to say thank you to 23 of the subscribers. Of course, you at home and everything else in between. So there you go, right there, folks. Like I said, man, there's going to be more games to come with the New York Mets. This is only the beginning. All right. Also, I want you to check out Queens Get the Money Mets podcast, man. Shout outs to Barry Grant Jr. and alongside with Tom Grant and that other co-host. I can't really remember her name actually. So shout outs to her. And of course, be sure to also follow any other sports podcasts that you listen to that covers the New York Mets basketball. And of course, you can also check out Heart of the City podcast alongside with the YouTube channel, Unpopular Sports Opinion YouTube channel page. Make sure you subscribe over there. And alongside with Met Stuff podcast, alongside with the Wind Up, alongside with every single sports YouTube channel that covers the New York Mets and any other sport whatsoever. Please tune into their channel and great stuff right there, man. So there you go, man. I'm out of here. Stay tuned for more new topics. In sports in the next episode. Tune in also next time to the Excellent Fun Vibrant Talks podcast sports edition show, where I actually go over some food menus at the ballpark at Citi Field, man. And I must say, Citi Field has the best food in Citi Field of Flushing, Queens, New York. And I have to say, it's way better than the fucking Yankees foods at Yankee Stadium, all right? That's my opinion, man. And of course, Queens get the money. We work hard for our money, man. So let me just close this out and shit though, man. So peace and one love. See y'all next time. Let's go, Mets. In the words of the comedian Ken Stars, who's also a New Yorker, have a good night, everybody.